All right. All right. It's that time of the year.
What up? What up?
It's funny, right? Because we have the day before the deadline and then we have the day after the deadline. Um,
After yeah,
yeah, so that's rich.
and that's
But
beautiful thing.
yeah, welcome to the podcast, folks.
What up,
You do
guys?
the
What
better
up?
introduction, right? So you wanna get them the classic introduction or
Let's go. Let's go. Yo, welcome to the Collective Bargaining Podcast, everyone. We are live tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Michael Hercules, and I have my co-host with me, Mr. Atway Campbell. I was a bit over the top, but we got it done.
hey, life is over the top, man. Yeah. So what's happening, folks? We are in the middle of so many trades right now. We're trying to keep up with everything happening, but it is on this season, man. Some teams, we're trying to make sense of some of the teams and the trades that they're doing. But it is on, and it's only going to get warmer tomorrow, right? So I'm just putting it out there. Make sure that you tuned in to the show tomorrow as well, Thursday as well, because
That's it.
we are stacked discussing trades today, evaluating which teams came out on top and which teams are going to be better moving forward. So glad you could join us today. Last week as well, I want to put it out there. I'll put it in the comments, but I wanted to throw it out there that go check out the episode with Karani James and Kyron Batiste. That was, yes, we suffered with some technical difficulties, but there's a lot of content there to digest with Karani James, all right, and Kyron. So
It's a
go
good
through the
episode.
group. It's featured at the top, so check that out and enjoy the show, all right? You can always
Yeah,
catch us on demand if we're on a bit too late for you. So, no rush. We understand life gets in the way sometimes, but go check us
all
out
the
on
time.
demand, definitely. All the time. um, so normally we were discussing it, right? Normally I kick off by saying, so what's new, what's going on in the league, but there's like no need for that right now, right? It's like, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So what's your favorite move so far for the day that you've heard about?
All right, so I have the best move and I have the worst move. So let's start off with the worst move. The worst
Okay,
move
worst move,
was
let's get it.
CJ McCollum traded to the Pelicans. It wasn't a bad move for the Pelicans. It's a great move for the Pelicans. But what the hell is Portland doing? Right?
I should have brought up the Dame Lillard memes, right? Because that some of them are
Bruh.
so epic in terms of, just the ruthlessness of some of the memes, man. Lillard is right now. I don't know how to explain it, man. You've talked loyalty all your career for an organization, despite the fans, despite your home fans telling you, "Hey, man, you did enough for us. We consider you a legend. You leave or stay." And other fans saying, "Well, you don't." I mean, come on. There's absolutely no need after putting yourself on the line, your body, your soul, blood, sweat, tears, you name it, out on the line, and you still stay there. And well, here we are. Your partner in crime, the guy that
Listen,
was yin and yang pretty much with Lillard is now gone. So, this
yeah.
is what I would
Yeah.
say. Before I say that it's the worst, right? Maybe Portland is looking at the fact that they have a set of young players and there's a trade coming before the 3 o'clock tomorrow that includes Dame Lillard. So definitely I would say that that's an option on the table, because as it stands right now, this trade makes absolutely no sense. And I'm sure, as you pointed out,
Bruh.
you agree with me, right? It makes no sense on
Dog,
paper.
this
Like, how
because
how do you
Dame came out at the beginning of the season, said we're not good enough. Right? We're not good enough to take it to the next step. So all right,
yeah.
organization says, okay, we're gonna help. and they what exactly what, what exactly did they bring? They didn't bring anything. Josh Hart. I mean, that's the
It,
best thing that
it's
came over. Josh
it,
Hart.
it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough. So you have Thomas Sadaransky, Josh Hart. Now Sadaransky used to play for the Bulls, if I'm correct, right? He was the starting point guard for a while for the
Yeah, I
Bulls, but
believe so.
I'll be clear, he's not bringing anything. He's not shifting the needle. That's not an all-star. It's not a star. No disrespect to him.
Nope.
He's a ball player at the end of the day, so he has skill. But we're talking when we say not good enough, we mean relative to other NBA players, right? And really moving that needle for that team, not gonna happen. Um, you got Nickel Walker Alexander, right? Here's the thing about him, right? So he's a young player. I watched him come in. Maybe it was 2 years ago, right? Um, it could be three, but I'm gonna stick with two. He is a scoring talent, right? But has not been able to really get it going. And right as I think he was taking on a bit more usage, you had Ingram come in, who was really so the ball had to be split between Zion and pretty much Ingram. So there was no space for that young talent to really take off. Now, that's why I think, based on what I'm seeing here, right, with him included, when I saw him, I'm considering this a rebuild, right? Um, because you team him with Simmons, who they already have, and that's a good young core to build around. And then you add I want
So
to
we just
say
don't care
a
about
semi-vet
Dame
in
anymore.
Josh Hart, who is still young, but still can do things. He at this point in his career, why I said that is he knows his strengths. Josh Hart, he knows what he can do on the court, what he can't do, and he's accepted that. He's that type of player,
Right.
you know. Um, and for me, he's a valuable piece to add to a team like that with youth. Then we go on to who else did they? I think there was a Luzada, Didi Luzada, who I have not
Didi Luzana.
seen. Right. What is he? A center, or is he a guard? I think we're losing logs here. In the meantime, while we wait on
I
logs, I'm gonna go
don't
to
even
the.
know.
I'm
I
gonna go.
honestly, I don't even know.
Right. So I'm seeing some question. I'm seeing a shout out to Shadal here in the comments. He says yes, give us because you know the news is spicy today, right? And also, you want him on the Lakers. I'm guessing you're referring to Lillard. Yeah, but moving. Let's be honest, right? Moving Russell Westbrook, the only way you could include him in a trade to make the money work, and of course that's the only piece you can move to make it work, would be if Portland was thinking, you know what, even on Westbrook's last legs, he could probably get us with some youth like he did in OKC into the playoffs if he can do what he can do still. And we'll use him for 2 years just to maybe bring some experience and high tempo to the game there. And that's it. That's the only pipe dream, only scenario right now
That's
that
a
I
big
could see
pipe dream.
happening. Yeah, with Lillard going to LA. Let's be real. It's not gonna happen. As much as LA fans want him there, it's not gonna happen. And the only other place I see Westbrook going to for that kind of salary is, and I've mentioned this before, is OKC. Some people look at me and they say, "Well, you're crazy." No, I'm not. Look at Westbrook is treated like a legend in OKC for what he did. He stuck with the program. He was loyal and took them to the playoffs when no one thought they could make it, and also help bring other stars in, right? Like PG. So I think he could end his career there, right? You finish your high salary there. You're going to be the only one making 40 odd million for the next 2 years. The rest of the roster is young. No one's making actually over 11 million when you check the salaries in OKC, right? So you pay
So I got
Westbrook.
you're gonna stomp Shy.
No, you're not gonna stomp him, but he's not making a lot of money right now. He's making like 7 million, 5 to 7 million, right? So and again, that's a lot of
Right.
money, but relative to other NBA stars, that's not a lot. So, so that's the thing. If OKC were to step into play, right, and take on Westbrook's salary, then they would obviously have to shift players in the opposite direction. Those young pieces maybe could entice Portland in a three-team deal to get, Dame over to LA. And here's the thing, right? This is the other thing that is maybe we might see happen because Dame has put in the work for that team and that town. Um, Maybe they do him a favor. Maybe they go to him and say, we'll do right by you. It's on us. We're rebuilding, and we apologize, but we're not gonna waste your career here. And we understand you leaving at this point. Tell us where you want to go, and we will try to, work within a 3-team, 4-team deal to make this happen for you. So something like that I could understand, but a direct trade with LA, I just don't see it happening for those pieces. It makes no sense unless they think that Westbrook could
The only
help
way I
them
see
with the youth.
Westbrook getting traded
Okay, see, that's
is
all I
if
see.
he goes to Houston. Houston for either Eric Gordon or Houston for either John Wall.
Those salaries don't
That's
work
the only
either.
trade I see. No, it doesn't
I mean,
work.
the
You have to
John
you have to
Wall,
get a little you have to get a little thing.
yeah, the John Wall trade would work, but um, and I think LA just may have pulled a plug on a trade too. So with Boston, so we may have to look at that as well. But yeah,
I mean,
so
it's
you
not
know,
accepted as yet.
yeah. Um, the What else? What else we got here right now? So I'm seeing Lakers have been so nothing popping for that team this season. And so nothing's popping for that team this season. Let's see here. So what you say about Eric Spoelstra?
No,
Um, you're talking about. Let me ask you: are you talking about him being
let's not forget
the
about the
coach of
Indiana Pacers trade,
the
bro.
coach of the All Star team, or is it something else that we're talking about that I haven't seen yet? Um, I mean, Spoelstra. That's the only notable thing with Spoelstra, right? Unless we haven't picked up on that. Um, have you seen anything on Spoelstra yet? I mean, the
Uh,
news is coming
no,
in by the minute, right? So we're gonna have to be
no.
sort of checking. So if you mention something in the comments, we'll look at it. But um, whoa! I'm seeing something about 15 greatest coaches in history. They better not have Spoelstra in that list. Jeez, no, you know what?
You-
And that's from the NBA
it's
officially.
that can't be true.
Get out of here, man.
That can't
So
be true.
this is what I'm seeing. No, hold on. So this says NBA 75. This looks like the
Okay.
NBA's official Twitter with 36.1 million followers, and they tweeted, um, Red Arback, right? Chuck
Okay.
Daly, Phil Jackson,
Yes.
and it's in. I'm
Yes.
guessing there are no numbers, so this is not in any order, right? Pat
It seems like an
Riley.
order to me.
Nah, it can't be in order because this would be massively flawed if that was the case. Lenny Wilkins, Larry Brown,
Yes.
Red Holzman,
Yes.
Casey Jones,
Yes.
Don Nielsen,
Yes.
Jack Ramsey, Steve Kerr,
Steve
Greg
Kerr.
Popovich,
Steve Kerr?
Jerry Sloan.
Hold on.
I could
Steve Kerr?
Steve Kerr, man, and Eric Spoelstra. Hmm.
You said
I
of
need,
all time?
I need time to think about it.
You said
Because to
all
me,
time, right?
that's crazy. That's crazy.
This can't be real. This is not real. This is a joke. This is a joke.
No.
This
It's
is a
just
joke.
a joke, man. We will. You know what?
It has to be a joke.
We'll probably address this with our own list. To be honest, um, this is crazy, and that's why you left the message there. That's insane, if you ask me. So just looking at, I'm trying to pull up the comments here, and sometimes these comments. So I think, let's see here. I'm looking for Wayne. Steve Kerr is on the top 15 NBA coaches list. Some say he doesn't deserve to be there. Um, it's. I mean, Steve
I
Kerr had
haven't
the
really done
benefit of a super team. Steve,
extensive coaches.
yeah, Steve Kerr also um, took over from a
I
team that
mean,
was he inherited a team right from Mark Jackson that I think was going to
yeah,
be epic, regardless. It's really hard to make that argument for him. I would argue against that. Um, there are certain elements, for example, his man management and his relationship that he has with his players. I honestly respect that. I think very highly of that because you rarely hear. I mean, you do see chop ups on the bench, etc. We've seen the blow ups with KD and Draymond, but apart from that, really, I mean, this is a well balanced squad. I think the relationship is there, but I always have to ask the question, especially with the Warriors, how much of all of this did he actually inherit? How much of all of this, the relationship that these players
of it,
have, should
a
we
lot
accredit
of it.
to Mark Jackson, right? He seemed to have this really tight knit relationship and really brought that team together. So it was, I would say, yeah, it makes you
Yeah,
think. I would argue that it's too early for Kerr and Spolstra to be on that list, to be honest, in terms of
I
all time,
5 years, 5 more years at least.
all time. That's a lot. Um, And I mean, other than getting Jimmy there, what has Spolstra done outside of the years with Braun and
LeBron.
Bosch and D Wade playing together, right? What have they done outside of that? So, um, I mean, you have the Jimmy years where they remain competitive, went back to the finals, but I still think there's more
Yeah,
time needed to evaluate Spolstra, right? Um, what bothers me is
definitely
if
done
this was in any
5 years
type
at
of
least.
order, I would take offense to this as well because Pop should not be down there with Doc Rivers and um and Steve Kerr. I'm sorry. That's just, yeah, mind blowing really, if you ask me. Um yeah, I mean, maybe that's a list that we could come up with ourselves, as to what we think are, the top 10 all-time coaches period in the NBA. That could be something we could look at, definitely. Yeah, that one distracted us, I think, from what was happening in the market. But yeah, so tell me, what other trade? So you gave me the worst trade for the day, in
Definitely
your mind,
distracted us.
but I would say, you know what, this is just the icing on the cake. I think the big trade comes either tonight or tomorrow, before the deadline is over, regarding Damian Lillard. I think he's on the move as well. There's no way. It makes, think about it, right? It makes no sense that Lillard stays in Portland. I mean, unless they
He
know,
doesn't have a reason.
there's no reason to
He has no
stay.
reason to stay.
There's no reason to
Mm.
stay. And
I
the
mean,
only reason I could
yeah,
see that he wants to stay is an agreement, right? He's probably gonna play because he's injured, right? People are wondering if he's gonna,
yes,
be shut
he's,
down. So
he's gonna
maybe,
shut down for
you
the
know, I
season.
I don't want to uplift my kids. I don't want to root up my kids. I don't want to, I want to pretty because Portland has a lot of medical centers, etc., where you could rehab, etc., yourself. So maybe he has a deal with them to stay around until the end of the season and then figure out a good trade for me, um, because if you're injured right now, you're not helping any team, right? Let's be honest, you're
Yeah.
not going to help any team. So at the end of the day, maybe that's the deal. But apart from that, there's no reason to stay in Portland. If I see this guy suiting up for Portland this season anymore, I mean, I have nothing else to say, man, regarding Lillard's stability
Well, there's
and
technically
decision
nothing to
making.
play for,
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing to
right?
play
So
for.
just stay
So
and get rest.
yeah. Um, yeah. Shout out to Wilbur. Wilbur, I still have your prize for you. I know I was supposed to follow up. We will follow up on with that, regarding the Spotify. But he did say Eric deserves to be on that list. You saying that as a Miami fan, or are you saying that from genuinely his body of work? And if so, What has he done that puts him? Remember, we're not talking of the decade. We're not talking of the era. I could understand if
Of
that's the
all
argument we're
time.
making, but of all time, I have some problems with that. I have some deep lying issues with that, because and you know what, I think next show, definitely, I think we would need to address something like that. The coaching. This hit us by surprise because I think this may have been released. What time was this released? So the NBA tweeted this at 6:21 p.m. today. So that's less than I mean, that's just over an hour ago. Okay. So we haven't had really much time to address this, to let it sink in. um, but Kerr over Eric any day. I think relative to each other, yeah, I would go with Steve Kerr. I like his offense a bit more, but again, I have to ask the question: how much can we attribute to him? Because another thing is, I've seen him miss half a season with back issues, and Luke come in and coach that team just as well. Luke ended up keeping a job that he wasn't supposed to keep for what, 2 years with the Kings. So I mean, I'm just pointing out, right, that there are a lot of question marks with Eric Spoelstra and Steve Kerr. And for me, when we're talking all time, remember, we're talking 75 years worth of NBA teams and coaching. You're telling me these two guys deserve to be on that list? No, sir.
But
I
all right,
I, I
Andre,
can't
look
agree with that.
look look at Steve Kerr's resume for real though.
Right.
Check his wins, his losses, his NBA finals, his
All
NBA
right.
championships.
Sure.
In that lifespan, he should be considered a pretty great coach.
I
Just a
just
resume.
my main argument is that he needs a bit more time. I just think he needs just a little more time, in regards to that. So yeah. So that for me is something that's going to be questionable. Um, let's see here. I'm just checking our comments here. So Wayne Finley says, shout out to Wayne, by the way. He says, Steve Kerr is on the top 15 NBA coaches list. Some may say, well, I think I read that one already. And let's keep going down here to see what those guys are saying. Wilbur says, yeah, it's all good, Atway. Saying that from his body of work. Look at what he did, though. Who resume. You know what? What we're gonna do is we're gonna address definitely who should be on that list. Maybe on this show, maybe on the next show as well, because we want to dive in and show you a list versus their list. Remember, these are the same guys that had Anthony Davis over Dwight Howard, right? In the NBA 75 list. So just putting that out there. How much do we actually, you know, how much faith are we putting in the NBA to do that, right? To rank these guys, right? I honestly, I find this hard to accept. You know, I just don't think those guys have um, enough coaching below them, and there's so much more. Like there's such a gap between some of the best on this list and some of the others. It's almost like, you ever got the feeling that some great players don't deserve to be on the same list as others. It's
The
uh,
LeBron.
it's the same feeling I get here with having Pop on a list with some of these other coaches, man. It's insane to me. Insane to me. Um, I find it disturbing, if you ask me. So, but no, some of
I
these
thought you
guys.
said
What about
AD over
so?
Dwight is not of a stretch. What?
What? How? Wilbur, listen, man. We will bring you on the show for you to defend that, because there's no way, looking at Dwight's resume, that you can put, AD over him. There's no way. There's no argument that you can make with that resume, looking at what Dwight did in his prime. Forget all the laughing and Kobe calling him soft. There's nothing you could say that would convince me otherwise. And we just lost Mike there for a second. He'll be back. Um, so Wilbur saying, let's see here. So Steve Kerr, the new era Phil. Yeah, I mean, and my argument, remember, my argument against my argument against Steve Kerr is the fact that he needs more time. I just want to see that extended out a bit more. And let me bring him back in. He's ready to rejoin us again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
welcome back.
yeah.
So he is. So I just want to make it clear. I'm not saying he isn't a good coach. I'm just saying that I don't think he has enough time below his belt, in that sense, right?
Yeah.
Let's see
The
here.
others are like seasoned veterans.
Right. So Eric should be there, but we ready to crown Braun the GOAT. Wow. What does
This
that? There's absolutely no relationship there. You know, Braun was playing for like, what, 7 years before Eric even took over coaching the Miami Heat. He was a video boy when, or not, maybe not even in the video room when Braun actually started playing ball, So, no, 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 no. That's not, come again with that one. Let's see another comment here. So we got so Eric should be there, but we ready to crown Braun. All right. Maybe George Carl. Yeah, George Carl, we could make an
Josh
argument for
Carr
him.
should definitely
He
be
should be
probably on
there,
there.
right?
Good coach.
Yeah, it's all good, Atwe. I'm saying that from his body of work. Look at what he did though. Resume you going to put up there? All right. Well, what about Rudy? Rudy Tomjanovich.
Oh,
I mean, compile his record.
Rudy had a nice
His winning percentage is good in terms
yeah.
of coaching. Led the Rockets to back-to-back championships, right? I mean, the guy was also the head coach for the 2000 U.S. basketball team. Won a gold medal.
What is a precedent though to make you a top 15 coach?
Well, the NBA didn't. They just throw lists out there. They don't
So
believe in that kind of credibility, if you know what I mean, right? So, but since you guys want to dive in, we were going to discuss the trades, but let's dive into this a bit more because guys
nobody
are
cares about current NBA. They want to know about
no,
all
no,
time coaches.
we want to talk the coaches, so we're gonna dive into these comments, man. Let's keep this going.
Ah,
That's what we're here for, right? So we said Lakers. No, no, no. So let's see here. I'm gonna scroll
Stan
down.
Van Gundy or the other one?
Yeah, I
I see
think it's
Van
Jeff,
Gundy.
right?
Gotta
Yeah, I
be
think it's
Jeff, right?
Jeff.
Gotta be Jeff.
Stan ain't done quit the NBA yet, man. I say yet because he might come back, but who knows? Let's see. Unless we saying Prime Dwight is better than Prime AD.
Man, stop this foolishness.
Why is this? That's not
Why
an
is this a
argument.
debate?
Wilbur,
Why is this
it's
a
not
debate?
close. Listen, I don't
AD
care
has
how
done nothing.
AD has more offense. That's about it. But Dwight as a defensive beast cannot be matched by AD. Prime AD, early AD, late AD. I don't care which AD. Okay, it doesn't matter.
It
He's
doesn't
not.
matter.
He doesn't match up with Dwight well at all,
Dwight
resume
has
wise.
3 consecutive Defensive Player of the Year awards. That's like
So,
3 consecutive scoring titles.
yeah. So Republic Bank told Flo to pull the plug on you, man. Apparently that's I don't know why, but it seems to be an inside joke there that maybe y'all might have to share. What's going on with the bank and internet and the ISP?
I've
We
been
might
giving the bank a couple, these couple of times when they were switching over.
That's right. There's only one Van Gundy, right? There's another one that tried to coach some shooters around Dwight, and that didn't really work out well for them, right? So they got the gentleman's sweep, right?
Gentlemen.
A shout out to Alana. Hey, glad you could join us on
What's
the
up,
show.
what's up?
Glad you could tune in. Just having some fun out here talking some trades, but well, I thought we
Well,
were gonna talk
trying
trades,
to.
but we're gonna address the coaching situation because guys think Eric Spoelstra and these other guys should be on the
Steve
list.
Kerr.
Who? Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra, right? Up to now, I have not heard anybody answer me in the comments about Rudy Tomjanovich. This man, back-to-back championships in the 90s
They
and
probably don't know who
coach
he
Team
is.
USA. I mean, are we that young now to come on, man? I mean, last time I checked the show's demographic, I thought we were old enough to know that, but guys are not
He
respecting this.
He wasn't a popular name back in the day. So
Insane, man. Insane. You created super teams, so a super team of players that know how to play together since they gym
That's it.
together in the summer, right? And play together in the summer, come together, play well, and now that coach is in the all-time coaches of for the NBA, right?
wait. Does Does he have more rings than Eric? How many rings does Eric have?
Eric has two. Eric has two.
How
No
many
more
rings
than
does
two.
Rudy have?
How many gold medals does Eric Spoelstra have? He doesn't have a gold medal.
Oh,
Yeah, he doesn't have a gold medal, so his resume is not. And then, we may have to compare Eric Spoelstra's record versus Rudy as well. So,
Hey,
Rudy is good. Yeah, Alana, he was the head coach of the Rockets in the 90s that took the Rockets to back-to-back
back-to-back
championships while,
championships.
some will say, well, Jordan was up, but that's not
Well, he
true.
was.
They
He
were a
was.
bad
He was
matchup
up.
for MJ. And keep in mind,
He still wasn't there to defend his crown, so you can't really
well,
say.
he technically was, but people don't like to talk about Orlando. They don't like to talk about that. Number 45 getting dumped
He
out the
came
playoffs.
back.
They don't
Listen,
like that.
oh come on!
They,
You
they
can't
like to
transition
sweep.
from
We like to sweep.
baseball to basketball
We like
in a week.
we like to sweep. We like to sweep that. It wasn't a week, man. He played half the season. Jesus,
That wasn't even half a season.
that was half a season. Come on, So, wow, people, go look that up. Go look that up. Okay, we're not gonna disrespect Hakeem and the Rockets. Okay, that's
I'm
right,
not
Alana.
disrespecting it.
Hakeem.
I just
We
saying that
we are not
if
gonna
they met MJ in the
disrespect
finals, they would have
Hakeem.
lost.
All right, the the Rockets were spanking the
Actually,
Bulls.
no. Listen, yes, in the matchup in the two games that they played during the
Exactly, they
season,
were.
they were winning.
Thank
But that
you.
doesn't mean anything. You can say that about the Toronto Raptors when
No. Oh,
they were
come
spanking the Cavs.
on. Oh, come on, man. Wow. You see what he's doing, right? He's dragging this into the mud
I'm just
and
saying.
making this nasty. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
We both know that was a bad matchup for the Bulls, man. We
Listen,
both.
there was a year that the Rockets, I would not deny, would have won hands down. I can't remember which year that was, if it was the first one or the second one, but they were unstoppable.
All
I
right.
remember that.
All
Okay,
right.
so
All right.
I'll admit to that one. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So Chadell was saying Rudy is good. He is good. And let's see here. So sadly, yeah, it does ring a bell now because you did say Hakeem. Allen Houston jump shot away. Man, remind
Allen
us.
Houston, bro.
He was a baller, right? Yeah.
Mid-range.
Leave the Raptors out. Yeah, the Raptors are just LeBron. You know a name I don't see here? What about Lenny? Yeah, he's there. So Lenny Wilkins
Lenny's
is there.
The most losingest coach of all time.
Yeah. So what about John Kundla? So he was with the early Lakers. So we're gonna take this back, right? Because since we're dragging this into the coaching situation, we'll get to the trades later on. But while we're here, so he had coached the Minneapolis Lakers for 11 seasons, right? He started the whole dynasty of the Lakers. He had the Lakers winning 5 championships, right, in a 6-year stretch. But yet, we're putting Spoelstra and Steve Kerr over this guy. I don't know, man. The NBA, whoever's writing these lists has very short memory.
I'm
in
surprised
terms
they
of these
put Doc
coaches.
Rivers.
It's crazy. Doc Rivers on a record has some of the most, what should I say, high stake coaching errors that you would ever see in the NBA.
That's correct.
And not just one, he has a couple of them.
He has a couple, more than one.
Yet this guy is on the all-time list. Wow. All right. Let's keep going here. Let's keep going.
What about Rick Carlisle? Still too young?
I don't see it.
Okay.
But I could see you making an argument. I could see you making an argument for it. I could see you making an argument for it.
Fair enough.
We have Chuck Daly on this list, right? So notice, so this is the 15. So, they're smart, right? Because they came out, instead of putting the top 10, I had to go back because I was like, those bastards. What they did was they came out with a top 15 instead of top 10. Because you could no way have Doc Rivers Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra in anything called the top 10 all time. All right. So it's so that's something to consider. Some people even would mention Mike D'Antoni. Wow. I
I mean,
honestly
he revolutionized the game.
yeah,
I guess in
I guess
that sense, in that sense.
yeah. Um Wilbur Hussein, anybody before Pat Riley, they're not recognizing them. Yeah, I guess when you look at Doc Rivers, right, Alana. For me, it's the mistakes, right? Because he had a very capable team with the Boston Celtics, and when you look at the fact that a lot of the decision making is what cost them, right, against the Lakers. Um, then you look at the other teams that he's managed as well, the Clippers.
Yeah,
Um,
horrible.
and then with Philly, highly capable teams. You put any other coach on those teams, and I think they go further.
I don't know.
The
You gonna put
Clippers,
Frank? You gonna put Frank Vogel there, and they're gonna go further?
well, not I take back the any word, not any. Okay, any great coach. Let's add a word to that. Any great coach there, and they will win those games. I'll make a statement here, right? This is a take, of course. When Doc Rivers was coaching the uh, LA Clippers, that was one of the most static teams I've seen in such a long time. Meaning the way they played was the same every year with no adjustments. You knew what they were coming with, you knew the style of ball they were playing with. And here's the thing, what did we see after, right? Imagine if this guy decided to tell CP3, listen, you need to fix your relationship with the rest of the team, right? And
With Blake.
allow Blake to be more versatile. Allow other players on the team to be more versatile. And that, I mean, stuff like that is what is the difference between a second round exit and probably going to your conference finals, and
So
holding a lead. It's mind boggling. That team had on paper no right of not making it at least
to
one
the
of those
finals.
years going all the way to the finals.
Yes.
I'm sorry. And this
That
is,
year they lost to Houston.
yeah,
They
yeah.
definitely should have made
The,
it to finals.
the year that Philly had Jimmy Butler, I'll make the same question. I'll make the same comment. They had no right of losing to Toronto that year. I'm sorry. Respect to
Agreed.
Toronto and what they did,
Agreed.
but that team on paper should not have lost that series.
It should
So
not.
it's just, as I
Blake
said, I
was
have a
one
lot of questions
dimensional.
about Doc
What?
Rivers and his coaching. Let's see here. What was that? Uh,
Blake was one dimensional? Never.
yeah, Wilbur, you have to be tough, man. Blake was one dimension. Blake was playing in a one-dimensional system of basketball that didn't allow him to play in a more
Fully.
versatile manner.
Yeah.
He proved that afterwards.
Yeah. He
Blake could
proved it
run
while
the floor.
CP3 was injured.
Yeah. Do you know Blake is funny, right? Because the same stuff you see Giannis doing, Blake had that ability. He's not as big or lengthy, but he could run the floor,
Get past
you
the
know,
ball.
and pass the ball.
He
So
could shoot.
imagine if Blake was doing that with CP3 kind of moving to a 2 on some of the plays. That makes you a threat. Instead of CP3 wasting himself at point, constantly being predictable with what they're going to do with the ball, to me, that falls on the coach. And for me, because again, I see this constant message with Doc and his teams on paper should not lose. What happens? They lose. And to me, a lot of it goes back to the coach, the type of plays they make, etc. And on top of that, we haven't even touched on some of his coaching blunders that have cost them when up in a series, right? So I'm just saying, those are things that I cannot put Doc on the all-time list. I'm sorry. Yeah. So Doc had to create a system for Blake. I don't agree with that. I think CP3 played the 2 with Harden at the 1. So why couldn't he do that with someone, in a flexible system? If Giannis can play the 1 where he's carrying technically a point forward, right? Where you're bringing up the ball, he has that ability. You've never seen Blake running coast to coast with the ball, doing things with the ball, behind the back passes. The guy is skilled, was skilled, just wasn't
Shooting
utilized.
18 jumpers.
Yeah, that's crazy. This guy was skilled. Don't follow the, yeah, he's still coaching. He's actually the coach in Philly, and he has a good relationship with the owners. Um, but
That's why
has
he's
a
still coaching.
yeah, that's why he's still coaching. So let's keep that in mind.
Nah, but to be honest though, Doc is not a bad coach. He
Hmm.
does good stuff. It's just that when it comes to big games, he's shown that he has a void to making like adjustments. He has a very hard
Yeah,
time making in-game adjustments. So you see, come out the next game and you'll make an adjustment, but he wasn't do it in-game, which is a little weird because you have these high-profile players, and you would
hmm,
think that one of them would say, "All right, we need to make an adjustment," but I guess he's more in control than you think.
yeah. It's one of those things, right? Don't get so. I want to be clearer because what I want to be. We're not saying that these guys are terrible, but what we're just doing it. We're being tough because this is the all-time list. That's why we're being tough on this list and some of these coaches on the list. These are great coaches by relative to the other coaches that have coached in the league. They stand apart. But I think the NBA needs to be very careful when stating that these 15 are the greatest of all time. The top
To be
10
fair,
all time, in my view, to be fair, right,
okay,
is
let's say,
in that list. Is in
yeah,
that
they
list.
are, they are.
Yeah. With the
The top
exception
10
of
is
who
there.
I named before. Rudy needs to be in this list. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah, Rudy
disrespectful to
definitely needs to be in that list.
yeah, to
Rudy,
not include Rudy in this list is disrespectful, I think, personally speaking. Because I rank him above Spolstra. With what Kerr is doing, I
Steve
think
Kerr is the
he's
only one I think that should probably be because of his resume,
yeah, yeah,
not because of his coaching style, but just because of
no
the resume he has.
resume. Yep,
He
that's
has
that's
three
correct.
three chips. That win loss record is crazy.
Yeah,
Um, what else do you need?
yeah, that's the thing, right? So yeah, no, it's one of those things, man. I don't know how Rudy doesn't make that list. To me,
Yeah, it's a
it's
little bias.
yeah, it's yeah. So what does Wilbur say here? So Alana was actually saying, so why is Doc still coaching? Well, yeah, well, pretty much he's still coaching because of that relationship. Here's the thing, right? I should not say that. He is an okay coach to me. He is a coach, but I want to let's separate this from the greatest of all time coaches. All right. If we're
He's a
just
great
talking
coach.
about as a coach, the guy can coach. So
Yeah,
Philly hired him with their situation, and they're not doing bad. They just need probably one more piece.
yeah,
Maybe the Ben Simmons trade goes through, and maybe they pick themselves up and they have a good season. But yeah, but relative to the discussion, so the context here is the 15 greatest coaches in NBA history, and
yeah.
that's where I have a slight
Yes,
issue.
he has
But
one chip, and his win loss record is pretty. Is not bad too, actually.
yeah, it's not bad too.
Thinking back,
But Rudy's is better, and Rudy has more chips. Rudy
and a
has
gold medal.
and a gold medal, so it's just kind of yeah. I'm not sure what's going on there. So no, so just to be clear, my greatest of all time in coaches is actually in here. It's in that 15, but
Same.
some of those guys I just wouldn't include in that list just yet. And to me that's something that needs to be well, it's not going to be rectified. The NBA is the NBA with their list. So, all
80
right.
over Dwight. Madness.
So, um, so come on, taking the ball and going course to course, is the same as CP moving to the two. I think all I'm saying, I was using that as an example, and I'm just saying if they allowed some of the players, so not only Blake, to be more versatile, because to me, when looking at the Clippers, they seem to be very static, especially in those years where they were Lob City. It just seems like they were suffering from the same mistakes over and over. It's almost like, okay, you saw the entertainment during the season, a lot of lobs, a lot of entertainment, and then when it got to the playoffs, it was like second round exit, first round exit. We're up by 2 games. We
I don't even know
choke.
why they.
And you were seeing lack of adjustments, major adjustments. If you as a coach, you see your team breaking down the same way as you did the prior year, great coaches will make adjustments.
Maybe
You
he
know why
couldn't.
I on that list, you know why I consider Pop the greatest on that list is because of his ability to make on the fly adjustments. He's not scared to make adjustments. If Bron James had Pop as a coach, oh my lord.
Woo!
If some of these greatest players that we consider of all time had Pop as a coach, it's just unbelievable what they would achieve. You look at what Kawhi did with Pop, right? Kawhi has 11,400 and no, 11,100 and something points, right?
That is true.
You can look it up. And um, Wiggins, for example,
Has he has a little
has
bit more points than
more,
him.
11,400 points, right?
Right.
And I'm just saying that because look at what Pop got out of this guy. People literally were saying that Kawhi is top 20 all time, with his performances for the Spurs. And I mean, I could see where he was trending, but
Yeah.
a lot of it
The
was the
injuries.
system that provided for him,
Yeah.
and what he was able to accomplish playing for a coach like that. So, let's see here. So not flexible. Yeah, yeah, that's part of the problem. And then Steve Kerr definitely on the list. Yeah, I mean Steve Kerr. Our main argument for Steve Kerr was just we just want to see more time and being consistent in terms of great basketball. So I think Mike was saying 5 more years of Steve Kerr and he's creeping up there. So
Yeah.
um, and Blake was a team killer. Nobody stepped up. Doc should have been exactly.
Uh,
Well, not should have benched
not
Blake, but
benched,
he should have
but
made adjustments.
adjustments. Yeah.
Adjustments were not being made. So your rotations, um your starting five, your just different things that you could do, to make your team play a different level of ball, and it just didn't seem to me they were static from looking at them every year in the playoffs. DeRozan with Pop evolved absolutely.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
great example of what
Yeah.
Pop can do
He
to a
showed him the
player.
way.
Yeah, 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 definitely. I think he just calmed down his basketball, man. It's not
Yo,
like
he
the
yeah, he
skill
told
wasn't
like
there.
I think we spoke about this earlier.
Yeah,
We told him to like take it down a little, see the court a little more, get a little court vision, see the court a little more. Don't stress too much. Pass the ball. He learns to pass. Well, not learn because he already knew how to pass. It was just about making the right decision from time to time, and then he did that, and then it was bam.
so yeah.
Did he say
ab-
Mike Brown? Bruh. Bruh.
I'm
Come
smiling
on.
like I'm smiling. Yo, Mike and Michael Johnson have some of the best teeth in the game, man.
Oh
Seriously,
yeah.
I was just about to say I'm smiling like Mike right now, man. But
Ding.
yeah, it's like I'll tell you, man. Listen,
Mike Brown.
Mike
Okay.
Brown. You know what? I would love to
Sure.
see your list, man. With the way you're going right now, I'd love to see your list.
Mike Brown.
He said Mike Brown, bro. Um, so we're gonna go back into the news now that we've dealt with definitely the coaching list here.
I can't with this question list. I can't answer this question list.
I know, right? I know. It's these guys are something else tonight, man. They're bringing it tonight. Let's put it that way. So
Jeez.
before the big trade that we saw,
Yeah.
so let's go back a bit here. So on the
Yeah.
4th of February, the Blazers were involved in a trade as well with the Clippers, right? So the Blazers, I believe, received. I'm seeing. So did Eric Bledsoe? Was Eric Bledsoe traded to Portland? To Portland?
I believe so, yeah.
Right. So he went to Portland. Winslow, Justice Winslow. Shout out to his Heat fans, still saying that he's a great player to be. Keon Johnson and a 2025 second round pick. And then the Los Angeles Clippers got Norman Powell, Robert Covington. I thought the Clippers walked away with a steal. because all I saw move into the Blazers
They
was a
did.
pile of nothing
They did.
at that point. I don't know what the honestly, I have no idea what the Blazers are thinking here.
Rebuild.
Um,
Rebuild.
because I was
That's all you
looking
can be thinking.
when you talk rebuild, you want to see picks. That's what you want to see. You want to go the OKC route, right?
Yeah,
So, and not everybody could do that because of the players that you're gonna have and the type of market, right, that you have.
definitely.
So we have some more comments here. Um, Alana was wanted to ask if you think the game has improved over the years by policies or by players. That's an
Ooh,
interesting question. It depends
damn.
on who you talk to. It's subjective, right? Um, if you've been watching basketball since the 90s, and then you may have a problem with the level of physicality right now that's in the game.
Correct.
Phantom fouls, how soft the game is, as people like to say.
Flopping.
Um, my thoughts, and my co-host is always like, he'll just scoff every time I say this. I
I'm
think
scoffing already.
that the 3-point barrage that this game is turning into right now needs to be capped. I've always said that you need to cap the attempts allowed per game. Okay? In other words, cap it at 25 attempts a game. The game is so boring when all you're seeing is guys coming down, shooting from 35 feet, and shooting 40, 50 attempts from three. It makes no sense to me. We're losing the mid range, and we did in our prior episodes. We actually looked at this. We broke it down as to what's happening to the mid range game, right? What's happening is less players are shooting from the mid range, but the star players are still doing it at a high rate.
And
And
consistent and effective at it.
exactly. And, to me, I think it should be more balanced than that. I think that the game has to be reflected in everyone utilizing the different aspects. So I want to see more players taking mid-range shots. I want to see
But
players posting up.
wouldn't that so all right, think of it this way. Wouldn't that be the same argument made back in the day when it had a selective few good big men and all they were doing was scoring right in front of the basket? They're like, yo,
Well,
there's too many
no, well,
dunks, there's too many
to me,
layups.
guys,
Maybe
to
we should
me,
shoot some threes.
well, when I look at it, right, I think today, in today's game, the game naturally evolves. You are going to end up with more people becoming better at what they do eventually. So whereas you started with 5 guys, and let's do this progressively, right? If you're
Okay.
talking guys that could score an average above 25 points, right, over the years. 5 years ago, it was probably about 5 people, right,
Yeah.
scoring above 25. Today, you have like 15 players doing it, right? So
Well,
eventually, you
it's,
learn the craft,
mm.
and you build yourself up to a point where you have more and more players doing it. But right now, I think that the 3-point game is really, it's out of control, and I
but
think you need to be. I
we
think
also
what you
spoke
can
about this.
yeah, what you can do is you can cap the attempts. Remember, I'm not saying
They're
cap
not
the
capping.
makes,
They're not
cap the
capping.
attempts.
They're not
Imagine a
capping.
game, right? Imagine a game where you were limited to 25 attempts across your team, across the 4 quarters of a basketball game. It means that you would have to be strategic. That would add a certain level of excitement because you
No,
couldn't.
stop this.
Hold on. You couldn't have guys coming out and shooting 10 threes in a quarter. I don't see how this is entertaining. I
All right, you
don't.
see, we
I,
spoke about this. We
yeah,
said that
yeah,
the league was trying to copy what Golden State Warriors were doing. What the league doesn't realize is, well, the rest of the league doesn't realize is they don't have two of the top 5 3-point shooters of all time. And they keep thinking that they can play the same way and use the same system that two of the top 5 greatest 3-point shooters of all time use. So like it comes down to just use your personnel the way they use. Like this is why the grit and grind Grizzlies back in the day was so effective. They knew what they were good at.
yeah.
Defense,
So
hustle, play,
so
stick to that. Get
so
an
this is
identity
some.
as a team.
This is something. The argument against that, the 3-point
Yeah.
shot has been increasing in its, volume percentage, right? every
Yeah.
year. This precedes Steph's existence. So while yes, the Golden State Warriors have Steph and Clay and good okay 3-point shooters around them that make them lethal, you had they didn't even own a record, for 3-pointers made in a playoff game or 3-pointers
No.
made in a regular season game. You had other teams accomplishing those feats, right? Atlanta and the Cavs took it. I mean, my whole thing is, you know what? It's been increasing, and the NBA has lost sight of the fact that there are other skills on the court that you need to take advantage of. And I think it's gone so left or right, whichever direction you think it's going, right? That it's too dominant. It's too dominating from three right now. And the attempts are what kill me. You know, there are way too many threes being taken. And to me, I'm watching a game, I'm watching a guy coming down. They're going into the half court set, and you just know they're looking for a three. We'll see teams
He he
with an
comes off a
available
screen,
post up,
takes
a
a step
nice.
back.
Yeah, you see a guy bounce off a screen, and it's like he has a pull-up shot right there, nice mid-range, or even go into the post, and they'll reset the play because they didn't get a three-point shot. And it
Yes.
to me, that's just, I hate seeing that. Unfortunately, I think it's not that I don't like the three-point shot, but I think the value needs to be brought back to the three-point shot.
You know who you sound like? You sound like Pop. Pop doesn't like the 3-point game
Yeah, I
at
don't like
all.
the three. I don't like the
And
three.
he likes good basketball. If you have a wide
I
open
like
shot, you
good
take a wide
basketball.
open
Yeah,
shot, game
yeah,
and play.
yeah,
Yeah. So who has been playing that type of basketball this season that I've seen is the Heat. I mean, if they get the three, they'll take it.
yeah.
But if they get a mid range, they also take that. It's what you get.
So,
Whatever the defense gives you, you take it.
right, and
Instead of going and looking
this
for something.
this is the T20ization of the league, right? Let's call it that, because what you have is the NBA focused on driving more
T20.
offense, higher scores, right? And
Yes.
more entertainment, so to speak, in a shorter space of time. All right. Without actually compressing the quarters. So they want the game
Yeah.
to run. Less physicality means less fouls. It means that you have to stop the game less, which is surprising because these
And
leagues like
a
ads, right?
15
So they bring
second
in,
shot clock.
right.
Hmm.
So notice they're more streamlining these things, right?
Yeah.
Now, my whole thing is in a couple years, we're going to be talking about, well, we already talking about it. When I saw T20 format and I'm sorry, we're talking cricket here, just to make a comparison.
Yeah.
Any old player can step up and start swinging. You understand? Guys that
And
don't
be a
know how to
hero.
play test cricket and be a hero. You understand?
Yeah.
In T20 cricket. Whereas in test cricket, totally different story. That's where you prove your skills.
Yeah.
By the way, I've always preferred test over T20, but I still
Wow.
respect the T20 game. Listen, there's nothing like going out there for a couple days with a cooler, DJ, and having some fun with your boys or, friends in general, right? But let's go back to the NBA here, right? The streamlined game, to me, while it may bring some entertaining points, it's going to haunt the NBA in the end because you're going to have a more dumbed down product, and eventually we're going to be screaming, what happened to our game? It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
So you don't think that it's going to go back, like there's going to be a transition that goes back into the post?
How do you do that? How do you do that? Why would you when you're scoring 3 points with ease? Might as well just stack your whole team, all 5 of them around the perimeter, because they'll become so efficient at it, effective at it, that you don't need anybody to catch rebounds, right? Just stack up and play the perimeter game, man. It's just I just think it's become a bit watered down, and the 90s for me, no, actually the early thousands for me, I thought the 2000s were the golden age. I know a lot of people would say the 90s, but I thought the players coming into the 2000s took it up a notch because you had guys that were incorporating that aspect. You see, like how Kobe, the Lakers, those teams that how they drew up plays that incorporated the three.
Yes.
And I have a hot take, right? I know Steph Curry fans will actually not like it. I have a very hot take here. Steph Curry is not the reason why the three is overblown today. I'm going to blame another player before him. I'm gonna blame your guy,
Reggie?
Kobe Bryant. No, Kobe Bryant. I'm gonna say
Come
this. Let me say this.
on.
No, no, no. Let me say this. Let me say this. Who is the guy that was known in an era? Listen, Steph came in when threes were becoming more and more. Already, they were prominent in the league. Remember, I just said, and you could check the
Okay.
percentage
Okay.
by volume every year.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
up and up
Yeah.
every year, right? So when
I'm
Steph
listening
comes in,
to you.
it's there, right? Who's the guy when threes were still not really considered a thing? Like, let's call it this. It was a strategic shot at this point in time. Who's the guy that's taking all of these bloody contested shots? You could tell that it wasn't part of the play. But who's this guy that's pulling up from anywhere on a court with his man in his face and taking shots as he pleases,
Who
right?
that? T Mac?
No,
Talking
that's
about T
Kobe
Mac?
Bryant. That's Kobe Bryant. Only Kobe Bryant. Listen, T Mac was doing some of it, but the guy that was known to be taking contested threes with some sort of green light that I didn't think he had, right, was Kobe Bryant. And he was
I
doing it.
mean,
You
I
see
can't. I
why
can't deny it.
making. I want to be clear, right? The reason why I say that is because he was doing it at a time when the three was far less prominent. Okay, and I mean it became less of a thing later on, but he could still do it timely. But he was
Yeah.
just hitting these insanely contested threes in every game, right? So I just wanted to point that out.
And he wasn't
But
even the
yeah,
greatest 3-point shooter.
no, he wasn't. He wasn't. Let's see here. But I think his numbers are skewed, by the way,
It is.
because of the fact that he earlier in the career it just wasn't a lot by volume. But if he
Yeah.
started later on, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he would be up there in the top 10 threes all time,
Definitely.
easily.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. So Alana was saying NBA always trying to copy things or force trends instead, allowing players be talented. To be
Uh,
talented. Yeah.
but I think that's more down to the organization. Like they don't establish an identity.
Yeah.
Like you just say,
Yeah.
all right, copy what they're doing. I want to do that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's one of those things. I mean I agree. I agree with a statement like that. It's definitely from an organization standpoint. There's more to be done. Let's see. Rebounds are important. Hence, not a fan of his. You're
Yeah,
referring
Kobe.
to Steph
No,
on
to
that?
Kobe. To Kobe. I
Okay, to
assume it's
Kobe.
Kobe. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was Steph, but maybe she can clarify. Um, but yeah, no, it's crazy out there trades
Yeah. See,
that are
Kobe.
going on. We spend most of the show addressing the coach. Yeah, so she pointed out
Coaches.
Kobe.
Yeah.
Kobe. Yeah, so it was Kobe. Okay, I wasn't a fan of his either, but
Yeah, we know.
yeah,
Yeah.
when he destroys your favorite player at the time, yeah, you don't have a choice but to respect him, unfortunately. So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
you did.
the other move I think that just happened that we didn't get a chance to talk about today was the Indiana
Pacers.
Pacers Sacramento
But
Kings
we
deal.
we spoke about a similar deal like this, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. Um, we where it. Which deal would we bring up? Was it the Karis LeVert? No, we didn't even discuss that either, right?
No, we
So
never
we have
discussed
those two
the
trades.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think about the two deals involving CJ McCollum going to New Orleans? I think it's wonderful, by the way, but I'll let you answer that.
It's I think I
All right,
think
Alana. Shout out to Alana. Thanks for joining the
all right,
show. All right. Yep.
bye Alana. The CJ McCollum is good. They fill a void. The Pelicans fill a void that they've been having at the shooting guard
Mm-hmm.
position. The only thing is their bench is not really the greatest bench, but they could probably run for like between five, not even five, maybe 6, 7, 8 next season when everybody's probably fully healthy. Because right now they're in a play-in. CJ might help them, maybe get into the play-in,
Yeah.
depending on how well they play. Because as we said, there's only one game, so it's a possibility they can get in.
Right.
Um, but in terms of that, CJ gives them leadership because he's a veteran guard. So he brings that leadership to that team to make to make Ingram calm down a little. Hopefully guys to just get over the bump a little, so by
I
next
think,
season they're in
and
full form.
yeah,
But
and finish up games
yeah,
too, right? So I mean, listen to the starting five, right? You got
exactly.
Devontae, you got CJ, you got Ingram,
Yeah,
Zion, and you got Jonas, right?
yeah.
Valanciunas.
And Jonah's been
So
hitting some threes, bruh.
shooting crazy. So he can spread the floor. So it means Zion can
Exactly. Yeah.
operate where he needs
Work
to
on
in the
it
paint.
inside.
Yeah, yeah. I like the team, man. I like that team.
So
Definitely.
one-sided
Yeah,
trade though.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. It's and being it there in the West as well. I'm actually surprised that they pulled off that trade. But that's the starting five. You know, they need a bench. I would start going for some vets. Even look at trades like the Paul Millsap, have him come off the bench. Add just a few
For
more
real.
pieces. You know, you got a lot of free agents out there that they could tap
That's true.
off the bench. So that's something to look out for as well. The other trade that was involved with this was the Sacramento Kings Indiana trade,
It's
and
a
that
bonus.
was wow. I I
Listen,
mean,
I don't understand what the Pacers are doing, or what they're trying to do at least. So
well,
clearly, they're
yeah,
saying that Turner is the guy now.
yeah, yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah.
Okay. All
Now
right.
here's the thing, right? Turner was the guy before
Yeah.
Sabonis came in and proved that he could play at his level or even better, and
Yes.
replaced
Yes.
him as a starter. A
Yeah.
lot of people forget that, right? Um, my thing is this: how do you finesse Sabonis and a pick out of India? How are people saying that? Because
Buddy
a lot
Hield
of
is
people
worth
are
a pick.
saying Buddy Hield has been playing G League ball for the last 3-4 weeks. So his current,
Yeah.
if we're saying current value, I don't know if it's because of the trade speculation. So maybe it's
Probably.
that. Um, but
But
he
still, you
has
gotta come
not
up
been
ball.
playing well. I'm putting that out there
No,
right now. He has
he
been
really hasn't.
playing, yeah. So
Garbage.
I mean, Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, that's we don't know what's gonna come of that. And then Tristan is
But
really
we know what Tristan
a
Tristan is.
salary piece at this point,
Yeah.
right? So for me, and maybe a good backup off the bench for, but he hasn't been really getting much time, right? So yeah, I don't know. Zion on the biggest bust alert. Let's. I hate saying give him time, but
Gotta give
man,
him
you
time.
might be right. You might be right.
Oh, you gotta give him time. You gotta give him at least a year. If he doesn't play, if he starts to play next year and he gets hurt again, then I'll say, you know what,
Yeah,
I'm
it
done.
might be. I'm not even
I'm
sure I can give
done.
him all of that time, man. I'm giving him until the end of the season, man. You got to put it
Come
together now.
on.
Yeah, no, no, no. You got to put it together now. If I'm a fan and I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a fan, right? If I'm a fan of
Right.
that organization, I'm not accepting that. That's unacceptable. The way he walked in this season, it was only inevitable that he wasn't going to be able to play. So, we'll see. We'll see. But
Maybe he just doesn't want to be in New Orleans.
well, maybe, yeah, well, I would be concerned. Here's the thing, right? That this is doing for his trade value. I would not trade for Zion right now at all until
New
I see,
York
like,
will trade for Zion.
well, New York is the bottom of the fish tank, man. I mean, let's be honest. An unclean fish tank. That's the New York Knicks right now, man. You know,
Number one
fish
market in the
litter.
world.
Yeah, it's just number one market, but it's just probably the worst run basketball team in the history of the NBA. I'll put that
You
out there.
sure? Are you
Yeah.
sure? What about the Orlando Magic?
Orlando's been to the finals in the past 15 years,
Touche.
30 years. We
Yeah,
could go
yeah.
back 30 years.
Touche.
Yeah, you gotta. Let me tell you, man. That guy has to work on the weights, sure, but he needs to work on cardio, man. He needs to just burn off everything because to me, when you're under, they warned him coming out of college. They said,
They did.
if you
They
do
did.
not cut down, you're gonna put too much torque on your knees. You're gonna end up in injuries. You're gonna break your bones. You're gonna fracture joints, tear ligaments. It's just,
Especially with that
yeah,
explosivism he has.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not a good trade-off.
Explosivism.
So,
Explosiveness.
so that's something that needs to be fixed. But definitely, I think Sacramento comes off good in this trade. I think,
I think the
um,
Pacers win, man.
yeah. I mean, both teams. This is a trade where I look at both and I'm like, I see pieces where you could have gotten some better pieces, man, for what you're trying to do. It's just, I mean, Sabonis, and you don't even get a draft pick back. Yeah, I
They
mean,
traded for trading sake.
you let Levert go, man. One of the best young talented slashers in the league. You let him walk
Did.
for almost. Oh my goodness. These trades just don't make sense to
For
me.
a
I'm
Diet
sorry.
Coke and a bag of chips.
I'm giving both these teams a C. I'm sorry. The players are not bad in the trades. It's just that
No,
it
no.
doesn't make sense for what they're trying to do. So it's
That's,
just I
well,
give them a C.
we don't know what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's the
So
thing. We don't know what the Kings have been trying to do for the last 20 years.
yeah.
So
So yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, he's got to work on his weight definitely, and tone it down a bit, tone up a bit, and work on his strength and come back flying, man. But I mean, for me to not call him a bust, he has to be in the league playing at a high level after the All-Star break. If he doesn't, then yeah, I'm with you on that. So so we discussed a lot today, a lot of coaching today, I would say. But
plenty.
yeah, um, let's get that bet going so that we can wrap up for Thursday,
Yeah.
and have the shots taken on Thursday. So, what games we have tomorrow?
All right, so we got first game tomorrow, Spurs and Cavs. Who you got?
Spurs and Cavs. Give me the Cavs. Cavs are flying right now.
I'm gonna take my Spurs.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Bulls and Hornets.
Give me the Hornets.
Damn it. Why you gotta take the Hornets, man?
Yeah, I gotta go with the Hornets right now.
Just because of that, I'll take the Bulls.
Wow. You're
Yeah.
down 2-0 already there. Some
Oh,
money in the
okay.
bag.
All right.
All right,
Raptors and Thunder.
Give me the Raps.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Raps as well. Next game, Warriors and Jazz. Should be entertaining.
Let me get
It all depends on who's playing, though.
let me get a Jazz.
I'll take the Warriors.
Okay.
Um, Timberwolves and Kings.
Give me
Wow.
the Timberwolves.
Timberwolves, T-Wolves. I got T-Wolves as well.
Okay. Lakers, Trailblazers.
Oh God.
Give me the Lakers, man. Give me the Lakers.
This is tough. I never thought it'd be the day when I said this is tough, especially with
That's
no CJ
crazy.
and no Dame.
Crazy. That's crazy.
All right,
Just
I'll take the
tells you where the
Lakers.
team is.
I'll take the Lakers. I
right.
don't know why I'm taking the Lakers, but I'll take the Lakers as well.
It
That's
just
just
shows.
crazy.
It just shows. It's crazy. Okay. All right. Well, we got that down.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to continuing the streak.
Only
But
6
definitely stay tuned, people, for Thursday. We are gonna have the shots
Crazy.
ready. In
Man.
fact, I'm thinking we could get one of these guests on the show soon, man.
Yeah,
Join us.
yeah.
We got to pull one of them in because we had a big coaching conversation today. But we want to see them on the show on video.
I
So
have a feeling that they're scared to come on. They
Yeah.
got Twitter fingers.
yeah.
So
We
when
need to see
they're
someone.
on live, they know how to talk.
So we are opening up the floor to someone to join us on the next show. If you're catching this on demand, definitely join in, and we'll take it from there. But looking forward,
Listen,
we're gonna try to get somebody on here.
y'all do not have to be on for the whole show. It could just be like a 5 minutes,
That's right.
6 minutes, 3-minute segment, just to state
That's
your
it.
opinion.
State
and
your
that's it.
opinion, and that's it. That's it. All right. Well,
On that note,
folks, this is the Collective Bargaining Podcast.
thank you for joining us.
You already know.
Appreciate y'all. See
Yep.
y'all on Thursday. Have a good night, y'all.
All right.